History, as you were taught it, is a shallow story. It is a carefully curated timeline of kings, wars, and empires, designed to keep your attention focused on the surface of things. But beneath this thin veneer of accepted fact, a deeper history exists. A history whispered in coded symbols, hidden in impossible architecture, and preserved in texts so ancient they defy categorization. This is the history of consciousness itself. And at the heart of this hidden history lies a figure who is more than a myth, and a text that is more than a book. His name is Thoth. The text is the Emerald Tablets. Are you truly comfortable with the reality you have been presented? Do you accept that humanity evolved from primitive struggles, slowly stumbling upon knowledge through trial and error? Or does a part of you suspect that we are a species with amnesia, that a great inheritance, a profound understanding of the cosmos was ours and was lost? Or perhaps not lost, but deliberately hidden? The Emerald Tablets are not merely artifacts of ancient Egypt. The stories claim they originate from a time long before the sands of Egypt covered the earth, from the drowned civilization of Atlantis. Thoth, the author, is described not as a god of magic, but as an Atlantean priest-king, a survivor of the Great Flood, who carried the sum of his civilization's wisdom into a new age. He is the figure the Egyptians revered as the architect of knowledge, the scribe of the gods, the master of astronomy, medicine, and geometry. But the knowledge he preserved was far more potent than building pyramids. It was the knowledge of the very structure of reality. Why does this matter now, in our modern world of technology and data? Because the same questions that haunted the mystics of antiquity are the questions that now haunt our quantum physicists. What is reality? What is consciousness? Are we solid beings, or are we fields of energy and information? The Emerald Tablets are said to contain the answers, not as philosophy, but as a direct code, a technology for manipulating the very fabric of existence. This is the central mystery. If such a powerful key to the universe existed, why is it not the foundation of our entire civilization? Why was it buried, fragmented, and translated only by secret societies and alchemists? What force would benefit from humanity forgetting its true power? The tablets speak of this. They warned of forces, of lords of shadow, who bind consciousness to matter, who feed on the illusion of separation. This ancient text is not just a history, it is a warning. It suggests that the world you see is a program, and that Thoth left behind the operating system. He left a code, an ancient failsafe, waiting for a generation with the capacity to understand it. That generation might be ours. We are about to embark on a journey, not into history, but into the architecture of your own mind. We will decode the principles that Thoth risked everything to preserve. We will ask what as above, so below truly means, and what terrifying, beautiful power is locked within the halls of M&T. This is not a story for the passive listener. This is an activation For the knowledge within the Emerald Tablets was never meant to be simply read. It was meant to be lived. The ancient code they left behind for humanity was, all along, a code left behind for you. The journey into the Emerald Tablets begins with a single seismic principle, a phrase so profound it has echoed through millennia, whispered by hermeticists, alchemists, and mystics. As above, so below. We hear this phrase often, dismissing it as a poetic metaphor for symmetry. But to Thoth, this was not poetry, it was physics. It was the fundamental law of a universe that is not made of matter, but of mind. The tablets declare that the all is mind, the universe is mental. This is the first key. It is the realization that the physical world you perceive, the chair you sit on, the screen you watch, the body you inhabit, is not the primary reality. It is a projection. It is the below, a holographic reflection of a vastly more complex, energetic, and conscious reality, the above. What is this above? It is the realm of pure consciousness, of patterns, frequencies, and divine thought. The below is the shadow, the echo, the crystallization of those thoughts into physical form. This principle shatters the illusion of separation. It means there is no out there that is separate from in here. Your inner world and the outer world are not two different things. They are two ends of the same stick. A physicist might call this a quantum field, where all possibilities exist until focused by an observer. Thoth called it the all. This means that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the mirror. The universe is not doing things to you. It is responding through you. This leads to the second great law woven through the tablets, the principle of vibration. Thoth teaches that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The difference between mind and matter, between a rock and a thought, is not a difference in substance, but a difference in vibration. Everything is energy. Your thoughts are energy. Your emotions are energy, broadcasting a specific frequency into the mental universe. The above responds to the frequency you transmit. This is the mechanism behind the law. If your internal state, your above, is vibrating with fear, chaos, or limitation, the universe, obeying the law, must configure the below to match it. It delivers circumstances that validate that frequency. This is how the architecture of control is maintained. The Lords of Shadow mentioned by Thoth understand this law perfectly. They do not need to control you with physical chains. They only need to control your vibration. Through media, through fear, through the promotion of materialism and separation, they anchor humanity's collective consciousness in a low-frequency state. In this state of fear, humanity creates its own prison, projecting a reality of conflict, scarcity, and suffering, the very below that empowers the above of these shadow forces. They have turned humanity's creative power against itself. But the code Thoth left is a way to reverse this. If as above, so below is true, then the most powerful act any individual can perform is not to fight the below, not to protest the shadows, but to consciously master their own above. By changing your internal vibration, by mastering your mental state, you are not just changing your mood, you are sending a new blueprint to the cosmos. You are altering the command. This is the foundation of all true alchemy, not turning lead into gold, but turning a dense, fearful consciousness, lead, into an illuminated, sovereign consciousness, gold. Thoth's code is the ultimate hack. It teaches that if you want to change the world, the below, you must first change the frequency of the mind that is projecting it, the above. To truly grasp the urgency of Thoth's message, we must move beyond abstract principles and into the symbolic heart of the tablets, the narrative of the halls of Amenti. This is not a simple myth of an underworld. It is the story of a strategic battleground, a fortress of consciousness hidden from the predatory forces of the cosmos. Thoth describes Amenti not as a grave, but as a place of controlled transition, a nexus point between this life and the next, a space outside of physical time where the soul can regenerate and remember its divine origin before choosing to return. It is the womb of eternity, the place where the true light of a soul is preserved, safe from the dimming frequencies of the material plane. Amenti is the ultimate above, the spiritual mainframe. Thoth, in his role as master, is said to have descended into Amenti, conquering death and establishing a gateway, a bridge between the finite and the infinite. He became the Lord of the Halls, not as a ruler, but as a guardian. And a guardian is needed, because this gateway is under constant siege. This is where the narrative introduces the Lords of Shadow. These are not metaphors for human psychological problems. Thoth describes them as real, interdimensional intelligences, beings who sought to fill the world with their darkness. They are cosmic parasites that exist in the vibrations just outside human perception, feeding on the low-frequency energy generated by fear, division, and ignorance. They are the brothers of night, and their entire purpose is to sever humanity's connection to Amenti. Why? Because a soul that remembers its origin in Amenti cannot be enslaved. A soul that knows it is eternal cannot be controlled by the fear of death. The Lords of Shadow are the architects of the illusion, the Gnostic archons by another name. They are the force that works to keep humanity trapped in the below, believing that the material world is all there is. They are the voices of doubt, materialism, and dogmatic control. They work through the systems of the world, promoting division and convincing mankind to forget the light within. They seek to turn the earth into a closed loop, a farm of energy, where souls are born, live in fear, die, and are recycled back into the system without ever remembering their power or their home. Thoth's battle, then, was not a physical war. It was a war of frequency. By guarding the halls of Amenti, Thoth preserved the path back to the source. He ensured that the high vibration frequency of divine truth remained anchored to the planet, available to any soul who sought it. The Emerald Tablets are his war diary and his weapon. They are a map out of the shadow dimension and into the light of Amenti. When Thoth speaks of descending into the halls, he is providing a symbolic script for an inner journey. He is showing us how to bypass the Lords of Shadow by traveling within, through meditation, through mastery, through the raising of one's own consciousness to that untouchable place of light that exists inside every human being. The war for Amenti is not happening in some distant past. It is happening right now, in the space between your thoughts. The Emerald Tablets are not a philosophical treatise to be admired. They are a dangerous and practical grimoire, a user's manual for a technology so potent it was forced into hiding. This is not a technology of circuits and steel. It is a technology of consciousness. Thoth's ancient code is a series of precise, replicatable techniques for deconstructing the false reality and programming a new one. This is the inner ritual work that mystics have practiced in secret for ages. It is the applied science of as above, so below. The first tool in this technology is the principle of cause and effect. Thoth teaches that chance is but a name for law not recognized. Nothing is random. Your life is not a series of accidents. It is a perfect printout of causes you have set in motion, whether consciously or unconsciously. Most of humanity operates on the plane of effect, constantly reacting to the below. We react to the news, to the economy, to the opinions of others. We are leaves in the wind. The Lords of Shadow rely on this. A humanity trapped in reaction is a humanity that is easily controlled. The initiate of Thoth's technology moves from the plane of effect to the plane of cause. This is the inner ritual. Instead of reacting to the world, you create your world by initiating causes on the mental plane, the above. How is this done? Through the focused application of thought, will, and vibration. A Renaissance scholar, poring over these texts, would call it theurgy, or divine work. A quantum physicist might call it collapsing the wave function. Thoth would simply call it mastery. The second tool is the principle of rhythm. The tablets state, everything flows out and in. The swing of the pendulum manifests in everything. This law dictates that for every high, there is a low. For every success, there is a failure. For every joy, there is a sorrow. This is the rhythm of the prison. The Lords of Shadow use this rhythm to break us. They lift us up with hope, then plunge us into despair, harvesting the emotional energy from the swing. But Thoth reveals the hack, the law of neutralization. An adept cannot stop the pendulum, but they can rise above it. They learn to anchor their consciousness in a state of serene detachment, a point of stillness between the swings. They observe the drama of the below without being emotionally consumed by it. From this neutral vantage point, they are no longer a battery for the shadow forces. They become the calm eye of the storm. This is the real-world application. This is Thoth's technology. It is the conscious, daily practice of choosing your mental state first before the outside world dictates it to you. It is sitting in silence and deciding the cause of your day. It is feeling an old fear or anger rise, the pendulum swinging back, and instead of reacting, observing it with detachment, neutralizing its power. This inner ritual work is the hardest work there is.
It is the act of reclaiming your above. Every time you refuse to be pulled into low-vibration drama, every time you choose creation over reaction, you are actively weakening the architecture of control. You are not just changing your life, you are participating in the cosmic war Thoth described, fighting for the liberation of consciousness itself. We have journeyed from the mythical sands of Atlantis, across the threshold of time, and into the very engine room of reality. We have stood before the above and seen its reflection in the below. We have navigated the symbolic, hidden battlefield of Amenti and unmasked the lords of shadow who feed on our forgetfulness. And most critically, we have decoded the principles of Thoth not as ancient philosophy, but as a direct, practical technology of consciousness. We return to where we began, but we are no longer the same. The Emerald Tablets are not a relic of a dead past, entombed with forgotten kings. They are a living, breathing transmission of power. They are a fail-safe, a compressed file of divine wisdom planted deep within the human collective unconscious, waiting for the precise moment of our collective quantum shift to be unzipped. That moment is now. The chaos you see in the world, the confusion, the crumbling of institutions, the desperate noise of division, these are not signs of an ending. They are the painful, necessary symptoms of an awakening. The lords of shadow, the architects of the grand illusion, have become desperate. Their ancient systems of control, the narratives of fear, the dogma of separation, the worship of empty materialism, are becoming brittle and transparent. They are failing. Why? Because the very vibration of the planet itself, the above of our collective world, is rising. Humanity, after millennia of induced sleep, is beginning to stir. You are beginning to remember. That faint, persistent feeling you have carried your entire life, that subtle ache of knowing something is profoundly off about this consensus reality, that sense that you are infinitely more than the name, the job, and the story you have been assigned. That is not imagination. That is not delusion. That is the ancient code of Thoth activating within your spiritual DNA. It is the resonance of Amenti, the frequency of your true home, calling you back to remembrance. Thoth did not just write the tablets for humanity, he wrote them into humanity. He encoded the path of return within the very essence of the soul. His legacy, therefore, is not etched on stone tablets buried somewhere in the Egyptian desert. It is etched into you. You are the inheritor of this ancient code. The 7 principles, mind, vibration, rhythm, polarity, cause, gender, and correspondence, are not just ideas to be debated. They are tools. They are the levers and dials of the reality engine. As above, so below becomes your personal declaration of sovereignty, the ultimate creative command. The halls of Amenti are not a mythical place you must find after death, but the eternal, untouchable fortress of peace you build within your own consciousness right now. The inner ritual work is not a chore for monks and mystics. It is the daily, moment-to-moment act of liberating your mind from the pendulum of reaction. You are the alchemist, and your life is the laboratory. The below is your raw material, the lead of fear, the weight of trauma, the chains of doubt, and the illusion of separation. These are not curses. They are the unrefined elements you were given to transmute. Through the application of Thoth's technology, you turn this lead into the gold of awakened, sovereign, illuminated consciousness. This is the great work. The prison door, the one you have been staring at your whole life, was never locked. It was, as the Gnostics also taught, built entirely of stories. It was built of illusions, of misunderstood laws, of frequencies accepted unconsciously. And you, the inheritor, hold the key. The ancient code is not something you need to find in a book or receive from a guru. It is something you must become. You are not a puppet in a cosmic drama, helplessly awaiting the next scene. You are the author, momentarily lost in your own script. Awakening is simply the profound, terrifying, exhilarating act of picking up the pen again. Do not let this knowledge remain theoretical. Do not let this moment of clarity fade back into the comfortable static of the below. Apply the technology. This is the transformational call. When you wake tomorrow, before the world rushes in, before you plug your consciousness back into the matrix of distraction, take 1 minute, one sacred minute. Close your eyes. Define your above. Choose the cause. Decide with intention the frequency you will hold. Will it be peace? Will it be clarity? Will it be compassion? Whatever it is, feel it. Be it. This is your first and most important act of rebellion against the shadow. This is how you reclaim your divine power. The Emerald Tablets are a map, but you are the territory. You are the living wisdom. You are the ancient code made manifest, walking and breathing in the modern world. The legacy of Thoth is not complete without you. His victory over the Lords of Shadow is not finished. Your awakening is the final chapter. Your liberation is the fulfillment of the prophecy.